After years of threatening to abandon the Philippines' military alliance with the United States, President Rodrigo Duterte last week confirmed plans to terminate the agreement governing the presence of American troops, a key part of one of Southeast Asia's major security partnerships. The announcement was widely interpreted as an attempt by Duterte to extract concessions from Washington, which regards military cooperation with Manila as crucial to countering Beijing's activities in the South China Sea. US President Donald Trump, however, told reporters he had no concerns about the treaty being scrapped. "I really don't mind if they would like to do that," Trump said on Wednesday. "We'll save a lot of money." Between 2016 and 2019, the U.S. spent $550 million on military assistance to the Philippines, which is also a top recipient of US aid, second only to Indonesia in Asia, receiving nearly $280 million in 2018, according to the U.S. aid agency. The Visiting Forces Agreement, VFA, is one of three pacts governing the U.S.-Philippines defense relationship. Experts warn that without it, the other two, a mutual defense agreement and the 2014 Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, known as EDCA, will be substantially less effective. The agreements provide for training and assistance to the Philippines' military modernization effort as well as annual joint military exercises. US Defense Secretary Mark Esper last week described the termination of the VFA as unfortunate and a move in the wrong direction. "We have to digest it. We have to work through the policy angles, the military angles," Esper told reporters. Trump has also pressured US allies Korea and Japan to pay more for their defense partnerships, and experts warn the deterioration of the partnership with Manila, although initiated by Duterte, could undermine Washington's status as a security guarantor in the region. Trump's willingness to let the agreement end certainly hurts his credibility, said Amy Seawright, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for South and Southeast Asia who is now Senior Advisor at the Center for Strategic and International Studies in Washington. Being so dismissive of alliance relationships hurts her image in Southeast Asia. The Philippines was a U.S. territory before independence in 1946, and the U.S. has remained its primary defense partner. However, Duterte has regularly complained about Manila's relationship with Washington and sought to realign his foreign policy towards Beijing and Moscow since he took office in 2016. Last month, he repeated his threat to end the pact after the U.S. denied a visa to one of his allies, Ronald De La Rosa, who oversaw the controversial war on drugs while he was police chief. Those complaints notwithstanding, Washington was a key ally in Manila's fight against ISIS-linked insurgents in 2017 after they laid siege to Marawi on Duterte's home island of Mindanao. The U.S. has also been a critical ally to the Philippines in countering China's claims in the disputed South China Sea. Before Duterte confirmed he wanted to terminate the agreement, the Philippines Foreign Secretary Teodoro Locsin Jr. told a televised Senate hearing that while the Philippines has the prerogative to terminate the VFA anytime, the continuance of the agreement is deemed to be more beneficial to the Philippines compared to any predicates were it to be terminated. Maritime expert Jay Batuangbakal told the Philippines media that without the VFA, Beijing could continue building military bases in contested waters or Washington. The treaty's collapse could leave it without a key outpost for force projection in the South China Sea. Although the U.S. has outposts in Darwin, Guam and Okinawa, its presence in the Philippines is described by the defense establishment as an immediate footprint in the South China Sea and a critical part of Washington's strategy to pursue a free and open Indo-Pacific. Trump's comments could also call into question a mutual defense agreement with the Philippines, according to Derek Grossman, senior defense analyst at the Rand Corporation, a Washington think tank. If the mutual defense treaty collapses, it would be a huge win for China, Grossman said. This would send exactly the wrong message to Washington's remaining allies and partners. That is, you simply shouldn't trust that the U.S. will defend or assist you against China, and it is therefore right to question the value of the American presence in the Indo-Pacific in the years to come. In a commentary for the Chinese state-run tabloid Global Times, Li Keqiang, the deputy director at the Shanghai Academy of Social Sciences Institute of International Relations, said he did not believe the scrapping of the pact would see Manila gravitate towards Beijing, as China was only one of several countries it was pursuing closer ties with. Instead, there would be an impact on the South China Sea, he added. Washington has repeatedly meddled in regional affairs through various means, such as sending its warships to conduct so-called freedom of navigation operations and joint military exercises with other claimants, including Vietnam. Without the VFA, US interference with the South China Sea will be constrained, Lee wrote. The U.S. continuously deploys between 500 and 600 troops in the Philippines, according to Rand. The U.S. presence was dramatically reduced in the early 1990s when lawmakers in Manila moved to shut down two bases in the 1990s, which were at the time the largest US military outposts in the Western Pacific. Philippines Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana on Thursday said the annual joint military exercises, called Balikatan, meaning shoulder-to-shoulder in Tagalog, planned for May, would take place during the agreement's remaining 180 days. Once the termination is final, we will cease to have exercises with them, Lorenzana said. More distant relations between Washington and Manila could also lead to a recalculation by other countries in Southeast Asia, especially those whose South China Sea claims overlap with Beijing's. Colin Ko, research fellow at Singapore's S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies, said Indonesia and Vietnam could seek closer military cooperation with the U.S. Singapore has also been a key defense partner of the U.S. and could expand military cooperation, Ko said. On the cusp of the closure of the U.S. military bases in the Philippines in the 1990s, Singapore offered the U.S. access to Changi Naval Base, he said. Singapore has been an ardent supporter of the U.S. military presence in the region. Australia also maintains a visiting forces agreement with the Philippines and has in the past, along with Japan, taken part in the annual joint military exercises with the U.S. and the Philippines. Armed Forces of the Philippines Chief of Staff General Philemon Santos Jr. said the nation will increase military engagements with these neighbors after the agreement with the U.S. ends, local media reported. On the other hand, some experts regard the back and forth between Trump and Duterte as typical of two leaders known for conducting foreign affairs via dramatic statements on social media, which is ultimately unlikely to result in the dissolution of one of Asia's longest-standing military partnerships. Ko suggested domestic stakeholders in Manila's security establishment would not support Duterte scrapping the Philippines' military relationship with the U.S. altogether, and that the relationship would endure. This defense relationship is a long-standing, proven and deeply entrenched one that has over the decades survived the ups and downs of different administrations, Ko said. It's difficult to imagine the loss of the visiting forces agreement will unravel such close bilateral military ties.